So, I want to briefly talk about this Black woman statue that was erected in Times Square. It was created by artist Thomas J. Price, and it's from a series he calls Resilience of Scale. And he says that the figures were made to, quote, amplify traditionally marginalized bodies and redress structures of hierarchy, inviting questions about who we choose to celebrate in art, unquote. So basically, these statues were made to combat racism, white supremacy through art. And this artist has other statues in the series of both Black men and Black women. But I believe that this specific statue was put in Times Square intentionally to once again make the Black woman the face of fighting against white supremacy and specifically against the white male statues that have been erected in Times Square and other places. And I just want you ladies to notice how Black male artists are always using the image of Black women and Black girls to fight against racism, white supremacy. I talked about this in my videos I did in 2020 around the time of the George Floyd incident. There was so much art from Black men that depicted Black women on the front lines fighting white men and fighting racism, white supremacy. And I just want to know, when are Black men going to start using their image to fight the system in the same way they use ours? Why not put the other statue of the Black male he created in the middle of Times Square? Because Black men want Black women specifically to be the face of defiance against white supremacy. That's why. They want Black women to be made the sacrifice, and they want us to be the main target for scrutiny from racist white people. And I want to make it clear that this is in part Black women's fault as well, because we have been the loudest voices against white supremacy, and we have shown the world that we desire to be SJWs and that we desire to be depicted this way. So I'm not just blaming the artist. It's definitely our fault too. I mean, we spearheaded Black Lives Matter. In many cases, we are the first ones to take a stance against racism and white supremacy. And it's because this is one of the only ways we can get attention as Black women. It's one of the only ways we can feel seen. So I'm definitely not removing the blame from Black women. But I also know that Black men often like to use our image to protest against white supremacy more than they like to use their own. And I am heavily side-eyeing anyone who is aware of the current political climate and still chooses to do something like this and put an even bigger target on the backs of Black women. To me, it's very out of touch, but it is intentional. And I keep saying that now that Black women are in our rest era and soft life era, and we've decided to at least temporarily put the SJW cape down and let other groups fight against white supremacy and let other groups be the social justice warriors, a lot of liberals, a lot of people on the left, a lot of Democrats are desperately trying to pull us back in and get us back on the front lines to fight. And in my opinion, this is yet another one of those attempts. I know some Black women think that this is just, representation of everyday Black women, but it's much, much more than that, ladies. And the representation is not going to do what y'all think it's going to do. And I feel like I need to talk more to Black women about representation on this channel, because those of you who truly think that statues like this and spectacles like this are helpful to the image of Black women, you don't understand promotion and optics and representation. Putting a 12-foot statue of an already plus-size Black woman with no bra on, who's wearing this young, small-ass t-shirt in the middle of Times Square, is not going to get rid of the negative stereotypes of plus-size Black women. It's going to make them worse. And for those who are saying, oh, well, this is a realistic depiction of Black women. Y'all got mamas who look like this. Y'all got aunties who look like this. Y'all got sisters who look like this. Okay, and what exactly do you think it did for them? Do you think it makes people like them more? Or if it's you, do you think people are going to like you more after this? Do you think people are going to treat you better? Because let's just be honest, that's why y'all want representation like this to exist. And I find that Black women don't like to be honest about the fact that you don't just want representation to make you feel seen and make you feel pretty to yourself. You want representation that makes people feel like you're beautiful and makes them feel like you're worthy. That's why the artist mentioned being celebrated in art. You want to be celebrated. You want art that encourages people to celebrate plus-size Black women. And I'm sorry, y'all, but this does not accomplish that. You get people to want to celebrate you by including Black women in normal, flattering representation. not lover mammy representation like we just saw in the movie Sinners, not SJW representation of Black women fighting on the front lines, and certainly not 12-foot unflattering statues in Times Square that just play up on the stereotypes that you already hate. And can we also talk about how when people usually erect statues like this in this manner, it's usually to honor someone's specific accomplishments. And so for me, all this does is also put in the minds of people that Black women just want statues of themselves just because they're Black women. And it's okay to have this kind of series of art, but the exhibit needs to be in an art show or at some kind of event where it makes more sense. Taking this one statue and putting it in Times Square just makes it look out of place. And as a Black woman, I can think of so many accomplished Black women they could have made statues of and put in Times Square. But choosing to create a fictional Black woman with her hands on her hips, no bra, a t-shirt that looks too small, looking like she got an attitude, is ineffective representation, y'all. And it just feels like something that was made to mock Black womanhood more than celebrate it. And even if it was genuinely made to celebrate Black women or plus-size Black women specifically, it has the opposite effect. All it does is play on stereotypes that we as Black women and Black people hate, or we say that we hate. And I saw some Black women on TikTok saying, oh, well, if you see this statue, that makes you want to respect Black women. That makes you fear the Black woman. And then in the next breath, y'all are going to be complaining if people start dehumanizing you and start masculinizing you and start treating you like men. This type of representation contributes to that. And again, there are other statues that this man made, but this is the only one that was erected in Times Square. So you have this standalone statue of this 12-foot plus-size Black woman, and you really think this is going to humanize us and make people look at us more like women and less like the strong Black woman that can feel no pain? No, this is going to double down on those stereotypes. And if the argument is, oh, well, they're going to do that anyway and respectability politics don't work, then why make a statue to get them to celebrate you? They're going to treat you like shit anyway, right? If other people's opinions of you is not going to change and they're going to treat you the same anyway, then what is the point of doing this? What is the point in trying to change their minds? What is the point of trying to get them to celebrate you and celebrate marginalized bodies? And I know some people are going to say, oh, well, we don't care about what they think. Why do you care about what white people think? Well, apparently you want them to celebrate you and your beauty and marginalized bodies, like the man said, who created this artwork. You do care what they think. Otherwise, this wouldn't have been created. We already celebrate ourselves. So if you're creating this to be celebrated, who exactly do you want to be celebrated by? If what white people think doesn't matter? Why would you put this in the middle of Times Square if white people's opinions did not matter? So can we stop lying about why we want representation and be honest and be for real? If Black people is all that matter, then why wouldn't you put this in some type of Black history museum or some type of Black art show or something? You didn't do that because you want global validation. You want to be celebrated by everyone. So now that we got that out the way, now that we're going to tell the truth about why Black women want representation on this channel, let me tell you how you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, ladies. You just include Black women, plus-size Black women, dark-skinned Black women, whatever, type of Black women we're talking about celebrating. You just include them in normal, flattering representation. And again, if the argument is, oh, we don't care what white people think, or we don't care what anybody thinks, okay, well then statues like this should not be made, and you shouldn't be trying to celebrate them either. But as someone who does care about representation and does understand why Black women want it, I want better and more flattering promotion and representation for Black women. And just because some of us want more flattering representation, it does not mean we hate ourselves. It does not mean we're fat phobic. It just means we have higher standards and we want better promotion. And there's nothing wrong with that. And the argument is always, oh, well, why can't Black women have everyday, normal, flawed representation? Why do we have to be perfect? Okay, we get flawed representation all the time. How much more of it do we need? We see depictions of Black women like this, like the statue, all the time in the media. So why are we acting like it doesn't exist? Where is all the non-flawed fantasy or aspirational representation of Black women that goes viral like this? And why can't we say, okay, we want more of that to balance this shit out? Are we not allowed that as Black women? Why aren't we allowed aspirational fantasy representation, but everyone else is allowed that? And if you as a Black woman don't think you are allowed to have that representation that is aspirational or less flawed as a Black woman, when we already have a bunch of flawed and realistic representation, when that is our majority, at least that goes viral, you need to unpack why you don't want that and why you frown at that. Because I know when it comes to mixed women like Meghan Markle, y'all don't care about that being unrealistic to most Black women. When it comes to all the other non-Black women they throw in our faces that are fantasies, that are unrealistic, that have less flaws than the average everyday woman, y'all flock to that. Y'all don't care about that being unrealistic. You don't care about that being fantasy. But as soon as we bring up that we want to see more of that with Black women, then all the isms and the phobias come in. Oh, you're fat phobic. Oh, you're classist. Oh, you're elitist. Oh, you have internalized colorism. No, that's what you have. And that's why you only want to see perfect, unflawed depictions of non-Black women, but you don't want to see that with women who look like you. So you need to unpack your own biases and stop trying to diagnose everyone else. And the bottom line is that this is just more strong Black woman, social justice warrior, mammy representation that was made to keep you fighting on the front lines against white supremacy and made to, quote unquote, keep you in your place as a Black woman. This is not how you effectively promote Black women and challenge stereotypes and the perception of Black women. You challenge that by promoting Black women in a flattering light and in the appropriate setting. You're not challenging anything here, you're just making a spectacle. And spectacles have their place, but not here. And I may talk about this in another video, and I'm definitely going to talk more about effective representation of Black women in future videos because we as Black women just don't get it. We are completely clueless when it comes to this. And it's very frustrating as someone who understands marketing and promotion and what actually works because y'all be pushing back against me when I'm trying to help you do what works. And this doesn't. But I have some errands to run for Mother's Day, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And in the comments, let me know what you think about the statue, not only how it made you feel, but how others perceived it. And let me know if you think this is effective representation for Black women and plus-size Black women. Also, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.